All right, what is your operating capacity? Saw something really interesting, and I really liked it, and I wanted to use it. Eric Thomas was talking about your operating capacity. So, anybody know what this is? Wow. He thought it was a toaster. Oh, yeah. Well, it wasn't much more complicated than a toaster at this point, right?
Floppy disk.
Yes, it had floppy disks. Most of y'all probably don't even remember floppy disks. Like instead of then we had the CDs, then we had the SD cards. Floppy disks were about this big, and they were floppy. They were plastic, but they were kind of flimsy, and you just put them in there, and it was the storage. Because the computers didn't have much storage, internal storage. So this had 1 gigabyte of RAM. Does anybody know what RAM is? It's your random access memory, okay? What RAM does on a computer is it determines how much capacity, operating capacity, not storage, not memory, operating capacity. Okay, 1 gigabyte of RAM, like the lowest computers now have 4, and that's like a $300 computer, and you might have a little trouble if you certainly can't game on them. You can't do any gaming. Like how much RAM do you need, Jose, to game? Like
at least 8 gigs of RAM.
Yeah, at least 8. So so this is what Apple used to put out. This was a Mac. This was the first MacBook, basically, laptop. And I don't know, it's pretty big. I'm sure it was probably pretty heavy. And it had to be plugged in. There was no storage. There was no battery storage. Like you couldn't charge it and all that. So now, and this is not a very good picture because I don't have a color printer, but now the new MacBook Pro has like 48 megabytes of RAM. That's 48,000 times what this was. You can run high-level like editing programs. You can game on here. Like you can do 15 things all at once. It can operate all of those programs all at one time, right? Like the increase in capacity is enormous, and probably, I don't know, it's only been like 40 years maybe. I didn't look at what year these were made. They increased their capacity, and not only did they increase capacity, these are lighter, stronger, their battery life is ridiculous. You don't need to plug into an Ethernet port. You can charge it. It's wireless. Everything's wireless. This was all like, you could take it with you, but you better have an Ethernet port. You better have some plugs, because like even when we started having rechargeable batteries, it's like, man, you got an hour. You better get your shit done. Right now, like days, weeks. If you use it a lot, maybe just a few days. So they had to increase their operating capacity, right? So, and as they increased their capacity, what else had to happen? We had to figure out how to make the batteries work. We had to figure out how to charge it and have the battery life longer. We had to figure out they had to figure out Wi-Fi. And how do we get Wi-Fi in here? You used to have a little thing that you plugged in, and then that would receive Wi-Fi. Then they were like, oh no, we have internal Wi-Fi. So there had to be iteration after iteration after iteration after iteration after iteration. Imagine if Apple had said, why would anybody want to carry around a computer in their pocket? And besides that, how are we going to fit this inside here? Like that, no, you can't do that. Like, how are you going to do that? We can't even charge it. We can't even get internet. You can't, right? Like, how are they going to push buttons on a screen when there's no buttons, right? It's just lights, actually, in there, and I don't know how it works. But they had to iterate. The point is, you have to iterate, unless you're going to stay here. And all you can do is one thing. One program, you can open one program. You got to be plugged in somewhere. You got to have a Ethernet port, right? Well, I'm glad we didn't stay here, right? It was cool. It was freaking amazing, and people were like, what? I can carry it? Like, what? I can take it to my other room? Like, I could take it on an airplane. Like, I don't know how much it weighed, but it was probably pretty heavy. But, huh?
At least 15 pounds.
Probably, yeah. And now, you just put it in, it's this thick. You just put it in your backpack. So we have to, now, here's the other thing that I thought was interesting. Does anybody know what this is? Brian might know.
It's a Corvette.
Yep.
1953.
1955 Corvette. Can anybody take a wild guess about how much horsepower it had?
220.
A little bit more than that.
280.
195. 195. Guess how much horsepower a 2024 Kia Forte has? Between 147 and 201, depending on what package you get. A 2024 Kia Forte has more horsepower, top of the line, has more horsepower than a 1955 Corvette did. Now that's hard to imagine. Guess how much Mr. Amazing cost in 1955? And it was a lot of money.
$2,774.
Because you're looking, you can see the back. $2,774. Anybody know what this beautiful thing is?
Brand new Corvette.
2024 Z06. It has a whopping 670 horsepower. 670. That is almost 500 more horsepower in 70 years. Guess how much the price is? $110,000. So they cranked their horsepower up, but the price?
You can't find it for that. They're going like 160, 170.
Right. And that's the base model is 110, right? And then, of course, if you get a certain color, and right, you can go way up. Like, our first house we bought cost $106,000. It was a big house. Huge yard, nice neighborhood, 21 years ago. Like I mean, you can't buy a house for that now, but shit. So what's the biggest thing, right? There is a price to pay to get to this iteration. Along the way, there's a price to pay. It costs you something to go from 195 horsepower to 600 horsepower. And, I mean, this is cute and all, but that's sexy. That's a sexy beast right there, okay? Don't be cute. Be the sexy beast, okay? So there's always a price that we have to pay, right? We have to get, going back to this, our mindset, our skill set, and our tool set is going to get us to our asset, okay? We talk about mindset all the time. People are talking about your skill set. What can you do to get your skill set going, right? And then you got your tool set, right? What have I said repeatedly? Everything gets better when you get better, and it's supposed to be hard until you get better. Do you think that, like, it took a long time to get from 1 gigabyte? There were a lot of people in the world working on how to get a battery, how to get Wi-Fi. What is Wi-Fi? We didn't even know what Wi-Fi was, right? Excuse me. Oop. There were a lot of people in between here and here working on this, iterating, changing. This works, that doesn't work. Let's try this. This is good. Let's put that product out, right? So a lot of us have a problem with a gap between desire and development. We desire to be the sexy beast, but they went through a lot of product development. I suspect thousands of engineers over the years worked on Corvettes, thousands. How do we make it lighter? How do we make it faster? Well, if we're going to make it faster, like, it's going to have to be lighter. What kind of composite materials can we come up with, right? Like, there's so much that went from this literally chunk of metal, which probably didn't get very good gas mileage, because it was so heavy, to this lightweight, fast, crazy, stupid. Who needs 600 horsepower? Like you can go 80 miles an hour on a highway. Like that's the speed limit. I mean, you can go over the speed limit if you want to, but like you're driving around town, who needs 600 horsepower? That's not the point. The point is it's fucking sexy and it's fast and we like sexy and we like speed, right? But if you take it out on the highway and you get on a straightaway, you can let her rip, tater chip. All right, so is your desire strong enough to propel your development? Okay, sometimes it's not. Sometimes it just takes sheer muscle and discipline to get that development, right? So let me tell you a story, and most of you probably know this story. It's about 3 little pigs. And I don't know why this story came to me when I was listening to this stuff. Well, part of it is about desire. They all desired to leave their mother's house and go out. And this used to be Ezra's favorite story, so I had it memorized verbatim. Like we had to read it every night 2 to 3 times. They wanted to leave their mom's house, so they're going to go out. So the first pig, he builds his house of straw. Some of you may be familiar. He builds his house of straw. What happens?
Gets blown down.
Why? Because something came against him, something that wanted to destroy him. The wolf wanted to eat him. And he's like, I'm in my house, I'm good. And the wolf, huff, puff, gone. So what did he do? He goes to his brother's house. Well, his brother had a house of sticks. Well, it was better, right? But same thing. Strong wind came, turbulence, right? Intention, disruption follows intention. I tend to go live on my own. I've got this little thing. I think it's pretty good. And disruption comes along and you realize that what you thought you had wasn't quite up to snuff. Okay? So then those two, they run to their brother's house. Well, the brother, he was the sexy beast. He built his house out of bricks. And not only did he do that, he built a chimney and had a fire going. Here's what happened. The wolf comes, he huffs, he puffs, he huffs, he huffs, he puffs, he huffs. Nothing. So he decides he's going to climb on the roof and come down the chimney. But the brother that built the brick house had a pot of boiling water on the fire at the bottom of the chimney, and he said, not today. Because he was prepared. It took him longer. He had to work harder. Because what did the other little pigs? It's in the book. I don't want to work all day. I just want to sing and play. They wanted to be away from mom. They wanted to have their own house. They wanted to be safe from the big bad wolf. But their development of their environment and the structure that they put themselves in was weak. All right. So one good thing that I heard Eric Thomas say was get out of your feelings, because that's how they felt. Oh, we're just going to play, we're going to sing, we're going to hang out, and it's going to be great. Get out of your feelings, how it feels, and get into your principles. The third brother, Pig, said, you know what? It's going to be harder. It's going to take longer, brick by brick by brick. But when I'm done, I know it's going to stand. He stuck to his principles that said, I have to be safe. I have to live alone. I have to do these things, right? He stuck to that, and he was the successful one. Guess what? His brothers ended up living with him. Like, go build your own house. So we have a thing called a microwave, and we have drive-through windows at restaurants. You don't even have to get out of your car. You don't even have to get out of your car to go to the bank. We got an ATM. We could just drive through and get the money, right? So everything's convenient. But that is not an indication to you that life will be easy, right? It is an indication that somebody worked really hard and iterated, right? All just like these people, and created things to make convenient for us. But Myron Golden said, there is no microwave success. If you think, see, that's what the first two pigs thought. I'm gonna just put it in the microwave. I'm gonna put this in the microwave and I'm good, right? Because then I can just do the fun things that I want to do, and I just put my house in the microwave, ding, right? The only success is climb the mountain success. There's just no other way to do it. Not lasting, like, and you can eat a microwave meal, but I guarantee you your steak that you cook in the microwave is not the same kind of steak as when you go to Vic and Anthony's in Las Vegas, right? Have you been there? Or Golden Steer? They're not even close. My food that I cook at home, we got us a little toaster oven over here. I can put it in the microwave, but it tastes so much better if I just wait 15 minutes. Put it in that toaster oven. It tastes like it just made it 10 minutes, like just took it out of the oven, fresh made. The microwave, it tastes different, okay? So there's no microwave success that's gonna be as good as the climb the mountain success, all right? All right, so what if Chevy had said, 300 horsepower, that's just a bridge too far for us. People might take advantage of that speed. What if they don't wear their seatbelt and they're going to go pretty fast? And I just don't think we should go there. No, Chevy said, screw that. We're going to see how far we can go with this car. And every year they iterate. Like, I don't know. These people just keep coming up with stuff, right? And you think like 1999 Corvette was pretty cool Corvette. And then they came out with the Z06s in what, early 2000s? Yeah, early 2000s, and everybody was like, what just happened, right? But they didn't stop. They had success. They were selling those cars for ridiculous money, and Eric was working at Chevy. Like, they couldn't keep enough of them. They were special ordering, and like, it was people were going crazy, just like the new iPhones, right? Another thing I want to touch on is everything that God created, He created to be successful, right? He created the sun. What does it do? It shines. It comes up in the east and goes down in the west, and it just keeps going, or we go around the sun. But it's successful. It does exactly what it's created to do. The wind blows, the water flows from, gravity from high to low. Like, that's what it does, right? Humans are the only thing that God created that gets a choice whether to fulfill the potential that God created us with. We're the only ones. We get a choice. Right? Most of us choose not to become, and we choose not to be able to do, right? How long have I had my tree up here? I don't even know where it went now. I think it's on my other board, but like, how long have we had the tree, right? I'm talking in the do area. We've got to get our operating capacity up in order to get this part, right? So think about your operating capacity, right? And if you're not operating at the highest level that you're able to right now, start doing that. And then figure out what that next level is, right? So remember this. You may not always get what you desire, but you will get what you develop, right? And chances are that you're going to get most of what you desire once you develop yourself. I like Eric Thomas said last week, like, stop asking God to make your situation better. Start asking Him to help you get better. Once you get better, you're going to know how to make your situations better. So work on that operating capacity. Work on what you know how to do to make yourself better. Like Polly says, active listening. Eric's talking about writing things down, getting an actionable plan. Those are things that are going to make your operating systems grow. All right.